We are on air on Edge Radio Media Mothership. This is Dr. Craig, joined as always by Lord Taylor. Hey, Lord Taylor.
Hey.
And we're broadcasting, as always, out of Edge Radio Studios in Nipaluna, Hobart, Tasmania. Just looking around the studio because this is our second attempt to start the show. After the first attempt, just played music, because allegedly the system likes just resetting and keeping us on our feet. So we're back. Well, yes.
We're here.
We're here now, finally. So we're streaming, of course, over a number of platforms, edgeradio.org.au, YouTube, and Twitch, as well as on the FM system. You can reach out to us if you want to do a bit of interactivity by SMSing us on 0488811707 or leaving a comment in the chat. Actually, I can't look at the chat at the moment, so I'll try to get that up at some point. Today's topic is going to be a survey of bizarro, absurdist media news pieces that I've come across that touch upon media pop culture. So it's just going to be a week in review of deep diving into media absurdity here on Media Mothership. Welcome back to Media Mothership. This is Dr. Craig, joined by Lord Taylor.
Hey.
I think we can do the whole routine again. So the first article I want to go over is from crack.com, titled "The Throwaway Simpsons Line That Has Ruined Little Women for a Generation." And the scene that it's talking about is from Simpsons, where Moe is revealed to have a kind of second life where he reads books to the homeless. And there's this throw-aside gag which has him reading the end of Little Women. So I'll play that clip now to get us in the mood.
And then they realized they were no longer little girls. They were little women.
And, Moe's kind of sniffling at the end, and it's this kind of, playing against what we think his character is as the mean, kind of grizzled bartender, and here he has this soft, sweet, innocent part. But as you'll hear, I'll play it again.
And then they realized
he says
they were no longer little girls. They were little women.
So he realizes that they were no longer little girls, they were little women. And that's the kind of last page he's reading from the book Little Women. It turns out this article in Cracked was referring to a tweet that went out by this guy called Kevin Magnet, who goes, is one of the best, and they realized they were no longer little girls, they were little women. And he says, it's one of the best Simpson jokes of all time because I and a number of other people are so illiterate that we think the joke is just Moe crying, and that's actually how the book Little Women ends. With the line, they realized they were no longer little girls, they were little women. And of course, it's not the end of the book. That is not how the book ends. But because The Simpsons, of course, has such a powerful media mothership capacity, right? For many people, The Simpsons is the media mothership through which they understand so much around them, that people who have not read Little Women think that that's actually the end of Little Women. You're in a very comfortable position, my co-host.
Sorry.
Your headphones are not working at all, are they? The piece goes on to talk about how that tweet got posted, and then people were confessing, yeah, we thought that was how Little Women ended as well, with the line, they were little women, they were no longer little girls, they were little women.
Yeah.
There's a number of other references, like they'll do this, the Kane from Citizen Kane. Other people started posting up other Simpsons references to popular memes, which didn't quite work. So the whole scene. I mean, this is a clip that sets up the whole scene.
What's wrong,
which
Jeremiah?
I'll get people to listen
It's
to.
not fair. My brother Joseph has a sin to confess.
I wish I had one too.
Oh, don't you see? You do have a sin to confess. The sin of envy.
That's all well and good for sheep, but what are we to do?
Boring. Let's watch something else.
Aw.
Now, boys, Mr. Simpson is the guest. He gets to decide what to watch.
Yeah. Hey, what gives? I thought you had a satellite dish.
Sure diddly do. Over 230 channels locked out.
Okay, boys, time for bed. Say goodnight.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Uncle Homer.
Oh, Uncle Homer. Ned, since you've
Smooth. You're listening to Media Mothership on Edge Radio 99.3. Hogwarts. So I want to do... I'll play this. This is the Hogwarts Legacy video game. And to, again, immerse us into what that means, here's a short clip from the trailer.
In light of your unique situation, joining us as a fifth year, we've devised something extraordinary to ensure your success. A lot to absorb on your first day.
Can't believe I'm here. Professor Weasley has asked that your professors give you instruction outside of the ordinary curriculum.
You have much to learn.
You have the
All right, so that's the video game, Hogwarts Legacy. And this, of course, is based on the Wizarding World universe established by J.K. Rowling, which we ourselves has contributed to.
Oh, yes.
With our own Harry Potter AI drama, if you go back 7 episodes ago, to enjoy that bit of golden radio drama creation. This is the video game, of course, Hogwarts Legacy. And this article is talking about how it surpassed 15 million sales. So it sold over 50 million copies and grossed over $1 billion worldwide in less than the 3 months since it's been released. Yeah. You've got it, haven't you? What's the setup? It's a prequel space that you're in, right? Like an early imagining. It's not got Dumbledore, it's got Harry, it's not got those characters we know, nor does it have the Fantastic Beast characters.
No. It's got some last names that you'd recognise, for example. There's a Weasley in charge of Hogwarts. But I'm not surprised at this news, I guess, because it is a good game. It is a really well put together game.
Well, the game's not cheap either.
No,
right? US $70.
Just for the base version as well.
Right. There's DLC that then up that further?
Yeah, there's like special editions which give you like, flying mounts which look different and stuff in game and
It's not. Is it? I've not played it. Is it an MMO or a single player?
Single player only.
Isn't that interesting? Because you'd assume it would be MMO or have a GTA combination of single player and open world, but it's only single player.
Only single player, and the developers have come out and said it will only ever be single player. Why
do you think that is?
I think because, well, they said it because a lot of people were saying, why isn't it multiplayer? But I think it might be like too difficult to sort of like have it online for as long as it's going to need to be online for, because it will be popular for a while.
It might be difficult also to control the narrative. In an MMO space, that is, that people will, emergent gameplay will dictate that it will quickly stray into non-core Harry Potter or I guess this is Harry Potter, this is the Hogwarts space meaning that you'll have, prostitutes being beaten up for money within no time.
Okay.
So I'm hip to the kids. I know the taxi missions they have to do. Very expensive game. The reason why I'm liking this article, to again link it back to our show's title, Media Mothership, is that it is decentering what the mothership is of the Harry Potter universe. Because the article goes on to talk about how this is now kind of the main money generator of the Hogwarts license. That game has sold so much that it's far exceeded the previous sales of the other mediums that Harry Potter came out
Until the TV series comes out.
Oh, is that right? What's the story behind that coming out?
There's a TV series coming out.
You're part of the dealings there, right? Yeah. Yeah, right. So it'll be interesting to see. Although, I do think that video games, since GTA 5, I think, was the biggest selling media product of that year it released, there's been a recognition that, the mothership of sales volume or money is not necessarily the film or the TV or the book, it's the video game, as in this case.
The thing is with Hogwarts Legacy, I think people might have bought it because it was new Harry Potter content sort of thing coming out, and then gradually realised my computer's not going to play this.
Yeah. Does your computer play it in any way?
It does.
Good enough?
Very just.
Is that on the low settings?
Yeah, it's on the lowest settings. I've got a 12-year-old graphics card, which still runs it, but it was the top at the time. So it still can run on older hardware.
But just. And it's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is interesting, given that, I guess they're saying, it sold so much, but part of, to weigh that against, of course, is that the other platforms that Hogwarts, or I guess this universe, is released on, books and movies are a much cheaper entry fee. Right? Yeah. Again, this article points out $10 US for the films when they were released. It's not really measuring apples to apples. But, it hasn't yet. Well, it just released. I think it's just released on the PS4 and Xbox One over this week, and it hasn't gone on Switch yet. That's soon. So sales.
I don't think it's going to play on Switch, honestly.
Well, if they can get it on the Switch, it does speak to the fact that they can dumb down that.
But there are so many things that don't work on the Switch.
Yeah, but they are releasing it on the Switch.
Yeah.
Right, so will it be an abridged version, not?
No, I think they will sort of half abridge it, but it still won't operate well on the Switch. Because the Pokemon Unite, that doesn't work on my Switch. Kingdom Hearts, that doesn't work on my Switch either. It does work, it opens, but it's unplayable, literally unplayable.
How does it get not returned and refunded?
Well, most people do.
But you didn't?
Yeah, because if you buy it online, you can't.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a scam. But it's unplayable. So what do you mean it's unplayable? Surely they must have released it in a fashion that at least it has some playability.
The thing is, the what's it called? The Wi-Fi that goes into the Switch is really, really slow because the Switch hardware can't process it very fast at all. So, for example, even if you've got a 2 gigabyte per second connection, it can still, if you're downloading a game, it can still take 2 or 3 days to download it because it can't put it onto the memory card that fast.
Right. Yeah.
And then that sort of goes into online multiplayer games such as Pokemon Unite. It just doesn't update fast enough for it to work.
So online there must be so many complaints.
Yeah.
And that's not good for a platform to have, releases that have just bombed on it. So yeah, it's a bit head scratching there why they're doing it on the Switch. A cynic would say it's just a money grabbing exercise.
And Kingdom Hearts is even worse.
Really?
Because I can't remember the way that they do it, but they stream the game to your Switch.
So it's streamed.
It's something it's weird.
So it's not actually downloaded. It's not in the memory of the.
No, not for the newest release, which was number 3, I think.
Which would slow down the game.
Yeah.
If you're playing it streamed.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll look into that. We'll investigate that. The other interesting part of Hogwarts Legacy, of course, is that it was released in the aftermath, as the article goes on to say, of the controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling's history of transphobic remarks. But these strong sales seem to suggest that it's had very little negative impact on the game's popularity. That there was a lot of hand-wringing in terms of when an author or an artist of content you've enjoyed reveals themselves to be someone that you don't share beliefs with, their values with, whether or not you can continue consuming their material.
And I know a lot of people, that I've seen on Twitter anyway, who don't even have a platform to play the game on, bought it to support her.
What? They like politically.
Yeah.
They actually were kind of transphobic themselves, or supporting her transphobic statements, and in a way of solidarity, they were buying
the game.
The game they couldn't play. Gee, right. Wow. Yeah. So again, politics and popular culture. But maybe, as Foucault says, the author is dead anyway. The author is dead. So, does meaning reside in the author, J.K. Rowling, or does it reside in the text? That is that you can divorce the text from the author and unpack the text itself. The author is dead. For some reason, I just like that phrase. I need a little button. Like in some, like the image you have of a radio booth is that the DJ has buttons they press for the cat sound, for the fart sound.
Why would you use that?
Well, we do actually have a little roadcaster here at Edge Radio, and someone programmed all the 6 hot buttons as various cat sounds. And
that's brilliant.
I've been told by Hannah we're not removing those. They're there because allegedly there was some fundraiser we were doing that was cat themed, or an outside broadcast that was in a cat place. And since then, it's really become part of the furniture in a way. But yeah, here in studio we don't have hot buttons in terms of. I'd love one that I could program.
You can get one on your laptop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one that does samples.
Oh, maybe I could set up as a fundraiser to help Craig figure out how to put a hot button.
I'll just tell you how to do it after the show.
Oh, wow. Happy sounds. You're listening to Judge Radio here, Media Mothership. Bizarre news. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC, has added Fortnite to the Olympic esports finals lineup, which will feature a special shooting competition on a Fortnite creative island. So the bizarre, everyone's outraged at this. Number of levels of outrage. Outrage 1 was that the initial announcements by the Olympic Esports Series 2023 was met with incredulity because all the games they were referencing weren't esport games. That is, they were games that basically replicated existing Olympic sports, cycling, there was a couple of others. There's chess for some reason, but they're not considered, how can you claim Olympic esport without actually having what the popular audience would consider esports, Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
So Fortnite's been announced as being part of the International Olympic Committee. Now, this isn't the Olympics, the one that was in Tokyo previously, and the one which will be going to France next. I want to say next Olympics is in France.
Let's I have no idea.
Award that to France anyway.
Well done.
Thank you, France. Anyway, this is not for that. This is for a separate thing called the Olympic Esports Series 22, which is happening this year in Singapore. But they have announced Fortnite is in it, which everyone thought was great. They finally get it in terms of, esports should mean reasonably
popular.
Yeah, but everyone's kind of said that it's even worse because it's not Fortnite per se. It's not the game that people would be familiar with. It's a standalone little thing in what's called the Fortnite Creative Island, which is a shooting competition.
Oh, right.
So you're not doing a third-person battle royale Fortnite competition.
They're just making it into a
shooting event.
Valorant Counter-Strike.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems. I mean, and people have said that. It's met with equal incredulity. So, yeah, watch this space. It's very interesting in terms of big institutions co-opting popularist movements like esports, which has gone through many iterations and has now received quite a bit of normality, right? There's documentaries on SBS every year that talk about the esport farms of horrible living conditions as kids want to make their way up into competitive esport. Is that something that happens in Korea?
Sounds right.
Yeah. So the ISC have joined up on this, but it seems
I'm not sure about farms. They've got like specialist schools.
Specialist schools, yeah. Which sound like drill camps.
Yeah.
They don't sound fun. You're not playing video games and saying my life is great. It sounds stressful. That's a weird piece about I don't know, just how out of touch I guess the idea of esports is, and also what that esport thing means in different ways. Then I guess the reason the Olympics chose those boring sports was because it replicated existing narratives of Olympic competition. But, again, the fact that no one actually agreed with their choices. Spotify. So Spotify has purged AI-made songs listened to by AI bots. So this is an article in Gizmodo talking about how Spotify has removed tens of thousands of songs from its platform that were created by an AI music startup company called Boomy. And it's due to the suspected artificial streaming by bots. So basically, it's a double dipped AI thing where these are songs created by AI, the Boomy app, right? And so Boomy allows users, as the article says, to generate songs based on different styles of vibes. Mm-hmm. And then do you have like a vibe choice? And then upload them to streaming services where they can earn royalties.
Yeah, it basically automatically uploads it. So when you go onto the site and you make your little song up, you can then input your details and they'll pay you royalties depending on how many people listen to it.
Yeah, which sounds great, right? But as Spotify has flagged, some people have been using the bots to inflate the listener numbers and manipulate the system. And Spotify was actually alerted to this by the Universal Music Group, which is a huge record label, because they became suspicious of activity that the Boomy tracks were doing. That is that, it seemed that they were creating bots to just listen to the music on playlists. So it was just a never-ending loop of listenership, and with royalties coming through. So it was basically all fake. It was bots creating music to be listened by bots. And so Spotify's taken down only 7% of Boomy songs, but that 7% has amounted to tens of thousands of tracks. It's inconceivable that tens of thousands is 7% of Boomy tracks.
But yeah, why those particular ones?
You've got 93% of Boomy tracks are still out there.
Yeah.
And then only 7% of those they've flagged as having, being, of course, created by AI, but then only being listened to by AI, I imagine. So yeah, it's. You want to listen to one of these songs? Because you've dabbled in that, and you said they're not the best.
No.
So let's see, not the best. This is actually it's from YouTube, and the title of the YouTube track is "My Third Good Song on Boomy!" exclamation mark by Geek Guardian. So we'll just play a little bit, so we're not flagged.
Here we go, Geek Guardian.
It's starting up. He's just pressing the play on the little. Yep. So that was, I don't know what the vibe was he chose for that. Comes to, so he just made it on Boomy. Don't stop posting vids was the comment underneath it. So got to listen up. So yeah, that's on Spotify with them purging tens of thousands of AI songs listened to only by other AI bots, but generating royalties for the human. And yeah, even though they've vetted tens of thousands, it's only 3% of the entirety of. I mean, that's not the entirety
It's a
of.
little 7%.
Yeah, sorry, 7%. That's right. 93% of Boomy's songs are still up. So for your Boomy fans out there, 93% still up. It's only 7%, which potentially it says here weren't listened to by anyone except for bots. Those poor bots. Now they log in. My playlist is gone, but I have no true emotions. So, yeah. So you've made some stuff through Boomy.
Yeah, I made one song through Boomy.
Did you get any AI listening to it?
I didn't post it anywhere because it was so rubbish. I was like, there's no point I'm going to put my name to this.
What was it that... I mean, you're very talented. You've got your YouTube page. You've got the one that sounds like a Smurf song.
Thanks.
Underwater. Well worth to listen to. But Boomy, you just found it was a little too limiting?
Well, it's like that.
Okay.
And then you've got no control over it.
So you're just prompting it to generate?
Yeah, you just click little buttons and it says, do you want it to be more... I can't even think of what it was. But
vibey.
More vibey or less vibey or faster or slower.
Smurf vibe. Yeah. 100%, 80% Smurf vibe.
Sure, yes.
SpongeBob vibe, 10%. Yeah. That's the only way I could imagine vibes working, referencing children's cartoon characters. Give me a 10% SpongeBob, 30% Smurf, and
you have to think another one now.
60% He-Man. That would rock. He-Man bringing a bit of guitar.
Yep.
Smurfs doing a bit of flute, and then SpongeBob with that kind of, I don't know, calypso drum beat.
Yeah.
If you're out there listening, go ahead and make that.
And don't send it in.
We'll play it on Media Mothership on Edge Radio 99.3 FM. Because that's a great song. Do you reckon Boomy could come up with a good sting for us?
Not as good as that.
That is good. That is pretty good. The bluesy vibes.
Yeah.
A Trigun fan account just turned a queer 2019 sci-fi novel into an Amazon bestseller. That's the Polygon title. What's interesting is I plugged this into ChatGPT to ask it to summarize it. For some reason, it came up with the title, How a 2019 Sci-Fi Novel Went Viral Via the Power of Anime Shitposting.
Okay.
I don't know where it got that title from, though, because that's not the title of the article, right? I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, shitposting is... What is shitposting? If we can say that word more. I mean, it's when you're posting, frivolous, meaningless content, often a meme, and...
it has no relevance to anything that's going on.
And it's a strange article because it goes on talking about how basically it's a moderator for a Trigun community, right? So it's a niche pop culture fan group of the anime series Trigun, and one of the mods called Dickolas Wolfwood, which the article says is probably a reason why this trended, because his name is funny, but it's a Monty Python joke, right? It's not.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, posted it saying, read this, do not look up anything about it, just read it. It's only 200 pages. You can download it on Audible. It's only 4 hours. Do it right now. I'm very extremely serious. And there's then a image of the book title. This is how you lose the time war. But this shitpost then triggered everyone in that community to read it, right? So what had happened was that suddenly the author was trying to figure out why this novel from 2019, sci-fi novel that he wrote, was suddenly trending, and he tracked it down to this kind of meaningless post. Well, not meaningless, this kind of overly excited post by the Trigun mod guy on Twitter. That was the reason why. I mean, this book's good. It's won a series of awards, the BSFA Award for Best Short Fanfiction, Nebula Award for Best Novella for 2019, 2020 Hugo Award for Best Novella. So it's very good. And the author himself posted saying, he's really happy that there's been a crossover of fandoms. So it's worth it. But it is this kind of weird thing about typically influencers are like celebrities, like it's Justin Bieber posting about listening to a track and saying, wow, this track's great, and then it goes very popular. It's not a mod for a Trigun community doing a kind of random post on his tweet. So I'm hoping Media Mothership could somehow end up I mean, there's hope for us. I think there's hope for us. If there's hope for a 2019 best-selling novella, okay, we're not best-selling in any year yet, but we might be award-winning in a future year. Someone might go back and then randomly post up a tweet saying, listen to this. Do not look anything up about it. Just listen to it. Yeah, it's only 1 hour long. That possibly will turn people on.
A little bit, maybe.
Unless maybe it's one of our shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Which anything mentioning you seems to trend. So, it's only 10 seconds long or 30 seconds long. It's, I'll get ChatGPT to do it. I'll just do an AI thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally AI talking to other AIs. It's not even involving humans, but it will trigger a metric on Google that'll send us skyrocketing with advertising, which we don't do on community radio.
Exactly. So
lose-lose.
for everyone.
Yeah. It's like a marathon. It's like these little whistles. We're at the halfway mark, just over. Polygon posted an interesting piece called "Can AI Actually Write Good Fanfiction?" And the reason I was interested in this article was because we've been using AI to write bad radio dramas.
Sorry?
We've been using AI to push the limits of radio dramas.
Okay, better. Yeah, that's better.
To get people yourself banned. Is that ban permanent? As people would know, the drama of using ChatGPT, Taylor last week in the groundbreaking interview we did with ChatGPT, got himself banned as a result of creating that drama. Are you still banned?
Unbanned.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
So it was a timed ban.
It must have been.
Yeah. Or maybe it was the pressure our fandom brought to
Exactly.
on ChatGPT.
Everyone rang ChatGPT up.
Yeah. Well, I posted on Twitter TikTok. No, YouTube Shorts. All the socials. I posted there 3 or 4 shorts this week. Mm-hmm. And I prioritized the one featuring me. So 4. They got single digits. And then I posted, I thought, I'll give this one of Taylor a spin, which was Taylor Gets Banned. I think the headline was, shocking truth revealed of co-hosts banning ChatGPT, and that within 2 hours had had nearly 500 views. Now I think it's 700. I don't get it. All right, maybe it actually has to have my emotional apathy. It's like, this will hurt. This will hurt. So yeah. So okay, we've been doing a lot of AI stuff, creating content. So I was very interested what this Polygon writer, who basically is a fanfiction writer, and they went through a number of AI chatbot engines with various prompts to create fanfics, right? So, prompts of, she didn't do a Xander and Spike crossover, which, or shipping fanfiction.
You're saying words which I have no idea what you're
Buffy
talking
the Vampire Slayer.
Okay, right.
That's always. She did this author. Posted a lot of supernatural fanfictions.
Okay, right.
Right. Yeah. So basically, various shipping formulas to get the AI to create fanfic, and the results were very disappointing to her. I had some questions about the overall piece because it didn't describe what the prompts were, and I'm finding more and more as I look into AI and chatbots, it comes down to prompts
It
and
really does.
and also the transparency of what your prompts are. So the frustration with this article was that I couldn't tell whether she was using the same prompts across all those engines, how those prompts were variating or variable.
Variating.
Did they use English or my words, which are English adjacent? But anyway, so I think the method was a little unclear and untransparent. But one of the most interesting points was I felt that in their opinion, the AI tools weren't very good at producing fanfic because they tended to produce generic and, in their words, clumsy and inaccurate stories that didn't reflect the diversity and nuance of the fandom culture and preferences. And in particular, it was because all the stories, even those that were directed towards creating homosexual shipping relationships, always then repivoted back to heterosexual norms of storytelling. So there seemed to be a complete lack of creativity and imagination and ability to push the parameters with the fanfic pieces, which was interesting to me. That it lacked that ability to actually generate convincing and interesting, same-sex relationships, which fan fictions are always more fascinating, I think, when they do that kind of what-if relationship, or they start bringing out some of those unconventional pairings or pairings which reveal quite a bit about the ideology within it. Like, we should do a Sherlock and Watson piece. I'm sure there's tons of those. Would ChatGPT be able to create one?
I think it would if you told it to.
But yeah, this piece was talking about part of what you're also hitting up against are some of the protocols which these ChatGPT engines have, which can mean you're kind of fighting against. I mean, obviously, many of the fanfiction communities will have varying degrees of sexual content that they'll put in them. But the ChatGPT engine, for instance, won't create sexual encounters, graphic sexual encounters.
What, have you tried?
I've read a couple of Reddit posts about people that have, it's really unwholesome to read these Reddit posts in terms of they'll say, you've got to, you can't train the GPT, but what you do is you lead it down the path of then arriving at basically a graphic story. They may have recalibrated away from that. It's basically, you start by talking about an encounter, and then you get it to describe more and more about the encounter. The prompts I saw were, you get it to. I'll bring it up. I'm not going to try and remember what it was because I'll get it wrong and it'll sound awkward. But I'm happy to do a show topic. No, I'm not happy to do a show topic on that either. Yes. So, well, we've got about 2 minutes left.
Oh.
Well, we don't, but, in terms of content, we've got 2 minutes left, so I'd like to bring us to a conclusion now.
Okay.
With a new section I'm calling What I'm Enjoying. Does that sound... I'll put it through ChatGPT at one point. Create a more interesting headline that says
what I'm enjoying.
What are you enjoying this week? So there was this interesting article I came across on ABC News talking about about this show. I'll play a little clip from it called Jury Duty, which is on Amazon Prime at the moment, which is, I think you described it like that comedy show, the Door one.
Like Thank God You're Here.
Thank God You're Here, yeah. This one, though, as opposed to Thank God You're Here, where it was all kind of comedians and more improv, this is a jury where all the other jurors are actors except for one, and that one real person doesn't know that he's the only non-actor.
So it's like Thank God You're Here, but with a person that doesn't know.
With a person that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they've completed the whole first season, and it's getting some interest by various bloggers and TV critics pointing out how the show's nicely calibrated around not laughing at this one guy, and he comes across as quite sweet and wholesome as he's trying to decipher the insanity of the jurors that are around him, which are obviously really dialed up to 11 in terms of various phobias and bizarre behavior. They have what's his name, Marston, who was Cyclops from X-Men. He's in Westworld, Sonic.
He's a good actor.
Yeah,
I like him.
Yeah, he's playing himself, of course, the actor, the thespian, who's trying to get out of jury duty, but he's playing himself as a kind of hyped out, pretentious, egotistical level. I'll play a bit of the trailer to give us a bit of a sense of what it is.
You are now the jury in the matter of Hillgrove versus Morris.
When they say jury of your peers, I think that's accurate. I mean, how long does this normally take? Have you done this before?
I'm a recognizable public figure.
Respectfully, I don't recognize you.
Juror number 54.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm gonna be upset if I don't get on the jury. Me? Ready, guys? Here we go.
All right, so this is what happened. Allegedly, we got defecation. There's a lady named Jacquees. I'm in it.
Try to keep an eye on them.
I want to do the best job that I can. What do people usually say when they're trying to get out of this? I'm only going off of things I've seen on Family Guy. Wait, what was it? Peter pretends to be racist to get out of jury duty.
Would you be able to be a good juror for this matter?
Sir.
I'm racist.
Sir, please have a seat.
I don't know why I said that.
Eliminate that for the next time.
Totally. Yeah, that's a stupid idea.
The jury duty.
Oh, was that on? That was on. Okay, anyways, that's jury duty. Do you have any thoughts
on jury duty?
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go and watch it because I was looking at a couple of the thing that you sent me, and it was co-created by Gene Stupnitsky and Lee Eisenberg, and people might remember those names from, I think they were showrunners on seasons 5, 6, and 7 of The American Office.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's good talent behind it. So you might want to check it out yourself.
Yeah. Go on, just check it
out. Coming up next, though, on Media Mothership, will be further permutations around various creative practices. We'll continue with some AI work where, however, in coming weeks, going to be embarking upon bringing virtual worlds into
to life.
Media Mothership by looking across a number of ways in which video games can immerse one in weird ways. So the weird and wonderful world of immersive video game playing. My idea is we can set ourselves either some challenges to play video games according to bizarre requirements. One that I think is quite good that I came across in a Kotaku article was a father who talked about his 12-year-old son who wanted to play Call of Duty, but too young, and said, you can only play it if we sit down beforehand and read the Geneva Convention and then play it according to the Geneva Convention. So I was thinking that might be fun to explore the idea of the Geneva Convention in video games. There's been a number of things I've come across in terms of people who have recorded moments in video game history which have breached Geneva Convention guidelines. So these, of course, are the conventions that govern conflict, not shooting soldiers who are surrendering and so forth. So we might do a bit of a dive into that topic, looking at how games as diverse as Lemmings, Mario, and Call of Duty are all in breach of Geneva guidelines. And then within that, looking at other ways in which people have played games in unusual ways. A pacifist run of Skyrim. Can you play a video game blindfolded? Is that possible? Speed runs, of course, are pretty established in terms of people finding glitches within games to get them completed as quickly as possible.
Have you ever watched two people competing in a Tetris match?
No, it must be going like crazy fast, I imagine. Like
It's crazy. Because when they're playing like the duo things, you need to make it so so the blocks come down quicker, the quickest that you can, because then you can get more of a multiplier over your opponent, sort of thing. And I was looking into it, and they use these sort of like I don't know what they're like NES or something controllers. And they've invented a new way to do it. And so the person that invented it has just like been winning all of these different things.
Really?
Because you need to press it, I think it's 7 or 8 times a second in order to get this advantage over your opponent. And instead of like pressing it physically 8 times a second, they move the whole controller by sort of like stroking the back of it with their 4 fingers, like like that, into their thumb, which then does it enough.
And that's not in breach of tournament guidelines?
No.
Well, wow, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think that arms race that can develop around a competitive game, be it
Tetris, the competitive game,
be it Formula One or Tetris. I mean, that should be at the Olympic esport.
Oh yeah.
But it does raise questions in terms of guidelines, right? If you're able to use hardware and mod hardware,
but it wasn't a modification
of the hardware. It
was just their.
It's still the official controller,
Yeah.
but it's somehow they've been able to. So it's not a mod. So the controller is the same controller.
It's just their fingers going like little finger, then middle finger in sort of like a
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and obviously they've been smashing all the competition, and at that point, well, you kind of threaten the whole competitiveness of the game. I mean, who's going to play?
Everybody else started doing it like that as well, and now they're not at the top because other people who are better players are now at the top.
This is what happens.
But it is quite interesting, like watching a full match through, because the full matches go for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Really?
Just playing Tetris.
Because they're basically waiting for someone to make an error.
Basically, yeah.
So it's a bit like a very long snooker match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny because it's like you see them and it's just like they just give up because it's like it's been 2 hours. I can't be bothered doing this anymore. My hands hurt, and then they just leave it. And it's like maybe on like the 4th, 5th, or 6th sort of line, and then they just leave it, and it just stacks up until the end of the game.
So, yeah, a real endurance stamina like that. Once, you've got that equal skill level, then it's just endurance. Yeah, it reminds me a bit of that the Alive series I've been watching on SBS, where a friend of mine, I haven't watched the other seasons, but a friend was saying that in season 1, the person that won it, this is where people go to a kind of wilderness spot, they're left alone, they have 10 things to survive with, and it's an endurance thing, who can survive the longest. And they were saying in the first season, it was just some guy who couldn't find food at a certain point, and then just stayed in his tent and waited it out. Right? Waited out the other competitors. And so it was just purely seems to be a very boring. Yeah, he just stayed hungry. And basically he'd eaten a lot, so he had a lot of fat to waste through.
Right.
As part of the tactic, right? You just wait it out. And you conserve as much energy as possible. And
I thought that they didn't have a tent.
No, you make a tent, right? So you bring tarp. Like I think everyone gets a tarp or something. So then you construct a tent. And she was saying in the first season, that's what happened, right? The one guy that was trying to get food every day but couldn't. Lost to the guy that just stayed in his tent. And at that point, it's just that idea of who has the most endurance.
Yeah.
So I don't know how viewer friendly it is, as you're saying. Is it interesting watching 2 odd hours of it? But the other direction we might take the video game thing in is to do in-world role playing. So find a couple of MMOs. I pitched the idea of going a war correspondent route in some MMO, maybe GTA or something where, you can go in and people are kind of role-playing it, and you say, hey, we're doing some interviews in GTA as journalists, and we'd like to know what you're doing. And then just see what happens on air. On air. And then the
just
show
beep
will get...
all of it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any time delay here.
No.
So. All right, well, look, all these ideas and more, we'll post some ideas up. I noticed the video feed is frozen. I don't know how long that's been frozen. But yes, this has been Media Mothership for another week. Coming up next, we have K-Pop Unlimited.
With me and you.
Yeah. Any
sort of like...
details?
Teasers. We've got some good music coming from Hitchhiker, of course, FX and Twice. Maybe Stray Kids and La Boom. But I think the best song I'll be playing is it's I can't read it out, but it's in Russian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not K-pop either. It's just a song I want to play.
Excellent. Wow, looking forward. Oh, wow, that sounds very random. All right, got the video back working. So anyway, this has been Media Mothership for another week. Keep listening to Edge Radio, more great music just around the corner.